is a good purpose. It says that this commission, this city, may regulate the sale of alcoholic beverages as to location and use. The purpose is to provide for the general welfare and safety of the public. Lawyers know that establishes a basis, a standard, and a criterion for regulation. This is not some other type of ordinance which recognizes property rights, which are vested in a property owner. It's not an economic development ordinance which is designed to stimulate economic activity. It's not a redevelopment area ordinance which creates certain particular uses. The standard here is the general welfare and safety of the public. Right now, the ordinance limits the sale of alcohol in an establishment in which there is total nudity, and it prohibits the sale of alcohol in an establishment which has contact sexual stimulation. In this case, it's lap dancing, but it could be any other kind of sexual stimulation. And that's the community standard. And what you would be doing in adopting this amendment would be to remove those two prohibitions. I think if I were up there, I would look at the threshold that I think would have to be overcome to support this kind of a judgment. I don't think the case is made. We have no data that the economy of Miami Beach and South Beach demands a very significant shift in this kind of regulation. If it applies to only one club, then the economic consequences can be only marginal. If it doesn't apply to only one club, we've seen from the experiences related by Joe Villari with opium and other amnesia and other clubs that there are ways to find loopholes once the door is open. This commission can regulate this use. The case has not been made to go beyond the threshold, and I think you should deny the amendment. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. Okay, let's move across. Marion, you don't want to speak on this matter? Okay, let's move across. Anybody else? Show of hands. Anybody else waiting to speak on this issue? Come on up here. We'll close with you then. I see no other speakers. Okay.
Mayor, Commissioners, my name is Pablo Perez. I represent Leroy Griffith and Club Madonna. I've been patiently listening to everyone here, and I understand the concerns that everyone has. But unfortunately, we cannot lay all the ills of society at the feet of Leroy Griffith. Leroy Griffith is not responsible for bringing prostitution to the city of Miami Beach. Leroy Griffith does not make men horny. Leroy Griffith does not do any of the things that he has been accused of doing. Mr. Griffith operates an establishment which he has been operating honorably, correctly for many years. He has been a member of this community and has obeyed every single law. My client has never been arrested for prostitution. There has never been an arrest for prostitution on site, and essentially this is a red herring. This is not about prostitution. And of course, I think other speakers have spoken a lot more eloquently than I could on what does bring prostitution to the city of Miami Beach, and unfortunately, you're not going to fix that by disallowing my client to have a liquor license. Some of the folks from the schools essentially made statements regarding the way women were scantily dressed or whatever. Folks, if you walk down Washington Avenue or Ocean Drive, this has nothing to do with Mr. Griffith. This is a reflection of society. This is about choice. This is about giving the people of the city of Miami Beach the choice. Let them make their choice whether they want to go to this type of an establishment and enjoy a drink in an adult establishment where there is nudity. This is something that goes on inside the club. It does not affect anyone. There are many establishments on Washington Avenue that offer alcohol during business hours, from 12 for lunch. I can't even begin to name them. Are we going to close down every single establishment that sells liquor? Why is Mr. Griffith's establishment different? Why? Because he has adult entertainment. There is frankly no legal basis. I don't even believe there's a moral basis upon which to deny Mr. Leroy Griffith the ordinance which he proposes. We believe that this is about, again, this is about choice. This is what this is bringing to the city of Miami Beach, giving the opportunity of members of this community to visit this establishment here without having to go to the city of Miami Beach, without having to go to other places. We are not even open during some, most of the school day. Again, the flyers that are on the street, again, not the fault of Mr. Griffith. It's nothing to do with Mr. Griffith. Again, a societal problem which can be addressed and should be addressed in other ways. I again ask you, all we are simply seeking is to be able to sell alcohol and run the establishment the way it's been run up to now.
You don't have lap dancing now, do you?
Excuse me, sir?
You don't have lap dancing now, do you?
There is lap dancing now.
There is lap dancing?
There is lap dancing now. And there has never been any problem, and I believe the police chief is here, and I don't know if he has any data on what arrests if any have been made, and I can tell you that none have. There has never been a problem there. We're simply asking to continue the operation the way it currently is now, with the ability to sell alcohol. And I think it can be done. My client has demonstrated he can operate this type of establishment, can provide the appropriate security and management to do so in a way that's not going to be harmful to the community.
Why do we have an ordinance which, for the first time, authorizes lap dancing if there's currently lap dancing in your establishment?
Because the ordinance authorizes lap dancing. Before this ordinance was drafted, since he did not sell alcohol, he was not covered by the ordinance that was in effect before. So in other words, lap dancing is absolutely legal. It's not illegal. It occurs now, and it's not covered by the current ordinance.
But just to answer the commissioner's question, the ordinance that bans lap dancing is for those establishments that sell alcoholic beverages and have partial nudity. When the proponent's attorney came to us to talk about amending that ordinance and basically adding total nudity to all of the partially nude regulations, one of his desires was to allow the lap dancing. So the ordinance was modified and to allow it in either a partially or a totally nude establishment that sells alcoholic beverages.
Okay.
I also would like to point out, I believe a new liquor store has opened up on Washington Avenue, actually closer to the school than Club Madonna. So, I mean, again, I think we need to look at these things realistically, and we need to look at them fairly. And, my client is not asking for anything which is not already being, with the exception of the adult entertainment, which is not already going on. And I may ask, might add that in a lot of these other clubs, you essentially have adult entertainment going on, and I'm referring to nudity, without the appropriate ordinances being in effect. And most of these other businesses are doing this illegally. I mean, there's been testimony from even members of the planning board that they have personally witnessed some of this activity going on in other clubs. Here's a man who's trying to do everything by the book, who has spent 4 years basically trying to obtain this ordinance to be able to sell alcohol in an adult establishment. Someone who's doing everything the way he should do it. And meanwhile, this is going on. It's rampant throughout Washington Avenue and other streets, other businesses. We ask that you consider this, that you put aside the statements that are essentially, red herrings and just meant to confuse and inflame the situation. The time has come, and I think that you should vote to approve this ordinance. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much for your comments. Is there a motion to close? Public hearing is now closed. Gary, you wanted to
I
add
just
something?
need to correct the statement that Mr. Perez made concerning the legality of an ordinance that prohibits the sale of alcohol where there's total nudity. That is a completely legal ordinance, and it has been upheld by the U.S. 11th Circuit, United States Supreme Court, and many other courts around the country. I just wanted to clarify that for the
Thank you, sir. All right, let's move the discussion up here.
Let me ask a legal question.
Sure.
Let me ask you a legal question. Whether we like it or not, and whether it's in the city's best interest, the issue of total nudity is a constitutionally protected right, which the city can control, provided that it shows a compelling governmental interest. Basically, that's the standard that is used in the cases. Is that your understanding? So that if a city wanted to abolish Club Madonna, just make it illegal for a club like Club Madonna to operate, the city would have a hard time winning a case in court if that's what the city wanted to do.
The test would be whether there are other reasonable alternatives for people to enjoy that activity.
Okay.
That activity.
My question specifically is if the same standard would apply and what criteria would apply to the decision that we make today with respect to the sale of alcohol in an establishment that provides total nudity. What is the constitutional standard that we have to meet in order to make that decision? What criteria do we have to establish in making that decision?
All you have to conclude is that there is a community preference to ban the combination of alcohol and nude dancing. It is a completely different standard. There is no constitutional right to enjoy alcohol while viewing nude dancing. So it is a completely different standard as to banning the nude dancing itself. The right.
It's a lower threshold, a lower standard that we have to.
And it's very deferential.
By.
It's very deferential.
And do you feel that there's enough evidence on the record, assuming the vote was to deny the application, do you feel that there's enough evidence on the record right now to support the city's vote if the city were to deny the license at this time?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
Well, if that's the case, you said the standard was what?
Deferential to the city on its
before
choices.
That community preference?
Yes.
Okay. Well, I think the community has expressed its preference in its testimony here today. I heard a couple of business people come and say they thought it would be good for tourism, but I haven't heard any resident stand up and say that they were in favor of this or that anything good is going to come from it. The planning board has said to us that any possible benefit to one single business owner is far outweighed by the cost to the city at large, and I would move that we deny the ordinance.
Okay, there's a motion to deny. Is there a second to that motion? Second by Commissioner Bauer. Further discussion.
Yes.
Commissioner?
First off, I want to commend Jane Gross. I have a lot of respect for Jane. I think she's a very courageous lady in many facets of her life, and I respect tremendously what she has done here. We have a difference of opinion, though, and that does not negate the respect I have for her. I don't see this as an issue that is an overbearing problem for Miami Beach. The establishment has been there for many, many years. Leroy Griffith has been a businessman in Miami Beach for more years than most of us here, from the beginning of the Gaiety Theater to the Paris Theater on Lincoln Road, and has always managed.
Paris is at 6th and Washington.
And the Paris on 6th and Washington, correct. And he's always handled himself in a very professional manner. Business evolved, and he is now involved in adult entertainment. There is no empirical data to demonstrate that there is any increased prostitution along his area, or that there is more crime because of the existence of his place. I think it's been more than explained that we, as a tourist city, do attract, whenever we have large conventions, we do attract what is called circuit prostitution. They follow conventions around, and that's a reality. And whenever we have large conventions such as the boat show, we do get an increase in prostitution. We have also seen an increase in prostitution once our large hotels regained prominence. And that's a reality. And most of it tends to hover around Collins Avenue, not around Club Madonna. That there are vagrants on Washington Avenue, that problem runs from 6th Street on Washington Avenue all the way up to 16th Street. As a matter of fact, if you walked around 16th Street on the east side, the only area that is clean of debris is Club Madonna. I doubt many of the people that have spoken against Club Madonna have been inside the club. I think it's run in a very professional and clean fashion. Now, we've had a nude establishment